Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raquel Tolson, and this podcast is here to help you to experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Now, you already know we've done this all year this is actually my second year, but I believe that being blessed is about a mindset. It's not about who you have in your life, what you have in your life. It's all about making a daily decision to be blessed. Now, we broadcast on WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network, and with them, they have a mission to empower, educate, and encourage. If you are enjoying the Blessed Podcast, I need you to go to www.wytv7.org and hit the green donate button. That way you can donate 10, 20, 50, whatever you want to donate to the Blessed Podcast and to WYTV7, and tell them it's for Blessed Podcast because you enjoy the podcast and you get something from it. Okay, so this is the month of May, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I had a guest, but we couldn't get everything together, so hopefully I can bring her on for you next week. But I decided that I would just come on and talk to you. So one of my guests and friends, she said, you should do more when you just talk because we like what you have to say. So I hope that you agree and you enjoy what I have to say. So here's an episode that I'm going to do a lot of the talking. Well, I'm going to do all the talking because I don't have a guest. Okay, so as you know, my nephew took his life a few weeks ago. And before, so my sisters and I, we came on, we were talking about mindset, and we talked about how, life sometimes just hits you. You make up your mind, but then life throws you a curve, and it's like, but do you really believe it? And I think that it was really interesting that we had that conversation back in April. And then at the end of April, we were hit with something that no parent, no family should ever have to be hit with, to lose a young person in your family, especially because they took their life, is very, very difficult. It's a very difficult thing. But what I realized when I watched, as I was with my family, and I just watched us, yes, it's hard, especially for my sister. It's very difficult. But what I realized, we really believe what we say. Like when people say, are you okay? We can really say that we're okay. Like, yeah, we're sad, but we're okay because we really believe the things that we say, the things that we tell other people about. We really do believe that. So I shared with someone, and they said they told me thank you for sharing this, so I'm going to share with everybody else. One of the things that when a person who is struggling with mental health issues and they decide to take their lives, one of the feelings that we want to feel is we're angry with them. And I had help. Because I talk to mental health specialists all the time. I have them in my circle to talk to them. And my pastor, she was really great. She was the first one. And she made a statement when she prayed. She was like, can I pray with you? And when in her prayer, she thanked God for his life. And she wished him well on his next journey. That's deep, because some church folk believe that if you take your life, it's an unforgivable sin and you're going to hell. So I want to talk about that for a minute, and not necessarily even about the whole, suicide. And I want to talk about how the church and mental health issues, because a lot of it, I think, stems from some of the beliefs that we have. And they're so overwhelming because we can't live up to some of those standards, though, that man has done. I don't think that was God that did that. God said, okay, he gave us he gave us some things, you know, in the Bible through people and say, yeah, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, like, you know, but it was never, if you do these things, you're going to hell. I'm not going to love you anymore. That was never it. That was never it. So for my pastor to tell me in the prayer, as she was telling Joshua, you know, good luck on your next journey. It was reiterating the fact that God still loved him, that there is nothing, no thing can separate us from the love of God. And that is like the biggest, it's like the biggest problem in the world. We watch, so my family, we get together every Sunday for dinner on Zoom because everybody lives everywhere. And one of the things that we start doing, we start watching Avatar, the cartoon that comes on Nickelodeon. They used to come on Nickelodeon. We start watching that. And this week was so powerful for me. I think it was powerful for all of us. It was so powerful. And the avatar was trying to learn how to get into his avatar state, right? And he was being taught by a master, and they told him that he had to master his 7 chakras. Well, one of the chakras that they were talking about in the TV show was the chakra of light, and it's blocked by illusion. And he said that the greatest illusion is separation. Y'all, I probably could have started shouting when I was watching it. I promise you, whoever wrote this, it is God. Like, they were God inspired. I wholeheartedly believe this. We block the light. And when I think of light, I think about the light of God. You know, when people pass away, well, I was watching this show on Netflix. It was called Surviving Death. And so these people who, you know, were dead and they came back to life, basically. They and all of them talked about light. And all of them talked about, maybe they saw people, but it was all about light. They saw this light. And I feel like right now, how we live in this world, we live in darkness, even though the sun is shining, but a lot of us have this darkness because we have this illusion that we're separate from God. Y'all might not like me right now, but it's okay because I'm trying to teach y'all something. In church, where we're supposed to learn about God, a lot of times we will be taught, and it will be impressed upon us that sin separates us from God. And then not only that, like sin, like I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, but they would say we were born in sin. So if sin separates us from God, and then you teaching that we were born in sin, so you're basically saying that when we're born into this world, we're separate from God. Think about that for a minute. We got to change that, because we're blocking the light because of the separation. We are not separate. We are not. Nothing can separate us from God. Not only the love of God, nothing can separate us from God. God lives within us. He, she, Father, Mother, God is here. It is us. We cannot be separated. All of these sins y'all talking about, that does not separate us from God. It does not separate. Nothing, no thing can separate us from God. We have to teach that first and foremost, to understand that love. God is us. God is in us. God loves us. His love is bigger than anything that we could ever think or do or imagine or whatever. God loves us so much. We are one with God. And a lot of people don't even want to know this. We're one within one another. Because if we're one with God, if God is one with me and God is one with you, then that means I'm one with you. Now, a lot of my sisters and brothers don't like this, because then when people talk about we need to stop the whole separation from race, we do. We need to stop it. Now, we didn't start it. Black folk didn't start this. I just wanted to make this clear. Black folk didn't start it. But now, we do the Black Lives Matter, and everybody is up in an uproar. Well, all life matters. Yes, all lives do matter. The reason why people are saying Black Lives Matter is because somewhere people got it confused that like we don't matter. But let's just take it this way. Everybody matters because we're all God. We're all God. We're all God. Not only do we matter, we're awesome. We're freaking fantastic. We deserve all that God has for us. And anybody that tries to keep a person of God from having what they're supposed to have, shame on you. Shame on you. It's not about the color of our skin. It's not about where we live. It's not about our religion. It's not about our sex. We are all God. The Spirit of God lives within all of us. So we all deserve all that God has for us. But okay, I'm digressing. Let me go back to how the church needs to stop. This month in May, Mental Health Month, I need for, if you are a believer in God, if you love God, if you a believer and you love God, I need you today to stop making people feel like they're separate from God. There is no separation. The sin that you talk about cannot separate somebody from God. So this has been a good week, because I watched this on Sunday, and then Sunday night, Pose came on. Now, I know a lot of church folk probably don't watch Pose because it's about gay people. It's about transsexuals. It's about the LGBTQ plus community. I love it. Billy Porter, I love him. So in this episode of Pose this week, Billy Porter found out that he has HIV. He's HIV positive, but he found out that he got cancer, and it was linked to his HIV status, AIDS, and so he knows he's gonna die within 6 months. So he was like, you know what? I need to go home. I need to go and forgive some people. Y'all, I wasn't ready. He got on a bus, went down to his small hometown, and the people he needed to forgive was his mom, his aunts, and the church. Because they all, black women down south, black women, we love God, and we love the church. But they made him feel bad because he was gay. But now, with some other stuff too, you gotta watch it. It was just amazing. But he was made to feel like the church he couldn't be a part of the church. The church couldn't love him because he was gay. He came out, and the mother even said, I raised you to think this, to believe in my God, and you don't believe in him. And he was like, yeah, well, your God I don't believe in, but I do believe in a God. And so later on she asked, well, tell me about your God. And it was so interesting to me, because I'm thinking, there's only one God. There's only one God. How do we get it so confused? How do we think that this God is going to punish everybody who sins, and is looking down low, and is, just keeping a list of all your faults? But then, somebody else has this loving Father kind of God who accepts everything you are, who just loves you unconditionally, no matter what you do. There's nothing you can do. And then I'm thinking, like, what is God thinking? What is God thinking how we are acting? Like we're putting some things on him that he never. I know a lot of people are probably saying, well, I read it in the Bible. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear. God did not write the Bible. Man wrote the Bible, and then man translated it over and over and over again. Okay? I do believe that the Bible is inspired by God, just like the book I wrote was inspired by God, just like the book T.D. Jakes write, and Joyce Myers, and a whole lot of other people, the people that wrote this Avatar script, this is inspired by God, okay? Let's just be clear. Inspired by God. The Bible is inspired by God. The Old Testament, it are stories that show us how these people interacted with God, how God interacted with the people. They told their story, their accounts. When my grandkids come along, I'm going to be able to tell them how I interacted with God, how God saved my life, how God made sure I was able to buy a house, how God, made sure that I didn't die when I was out there doing some crazy stuff. Okay? It's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. And then we had the New Testament when they were sharing stories about Jesus of Nazareth, who walked on this earth, who had a Christ consciousness. That's why we call him the Christ. He had the Christ consciousness. He had a God consciousness. And he lived and walked through, with that God consciousness. And then the Old New Testament are stories about him, how he walked, how he taught the people. That's why it's like, as a Christian, we are students of Jesus the Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ. Okay, we're students, and so we read those books, those passages, those scriptures to learn what he was teaching us. Cause dude was giving us a lot of lessons. And then we have Paul. Paul wasn't Jesus. Paul had his own struggles. Paul had his own stuff. Paul necessarily wasn't always 24/7 in his Christ consciousness, because he was killing people that was hanging out with Jesus before that. So, but all of it is God inspired, okay? So going back to we in the church, we that love God, we that are followers of Christ, how we have got to break this cycle that we are separate from God, that we can do anything to separate us from God, because that blocks the light. And I wholeheartedly believe, now I do have a master's in counseling. I do have that, but I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor, I don't have a PhD, I don't have the PhD, I have a JD, the law stuff. I don't have a MD. So I can't tell you about how the brain works or any of that stuff, but I can wholeheartedly tell you from my gut that once we unblock that light chakra, we can be healed from mental health illnesses. Because it's a whole lot of other stuff, but that light one, y'all, I wholeheartedly believe that if we can stop being blocked by the illusion of being separate from God and separate from each other, it would do a whole lot. Now I'm gonna tell you some of the other stuff that, these chakras, they said our chakras are blocked by fear, guilt, unforgiveness, shame, grief, lies, and earthly attachment and illusion. Ooh, that episode, I gotta figure out what episode. I'm gonna have to put it in the comments so y'all can go watch this episode. But think about it. If our chakras, if that's what we need to be fully who we supposed to be, because that's what the avatar, he's being fully who God created him to be. So I look at it like this: all of us, we were all created to be fully who God wanted us to be. But a lot of us are not walking in our calling. We're not walking in our purpose. We're not doing the things that we should be doing. We're not living the lives we should be living. We're not experiencing the things that God wants us to experience, because we are being blocked. Y'all got to excuse the puppy getting loud. But we're being blocked by fear. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. We got so much fear, and watching CNN and HLN, I think it's HL and Fox News, watching those news 24/7, doing nothing but giving you more fear. More fear. Fear mongering. That's how they make us watch it, because they make us afraid. The little, when we're watching our TV shows at night, and they'll show us like clips to make us watch the news, to keep TV on, to watch the news at 11 o'clock. It's usually something that causes fear. That blocks us from being all that we're supposed to be. Guilt. So many of us, let me tell you, especially with the fact that my nephew made the decision to end his life because he could no longer take whatever he was going through, it would have been easy for us to have guilt, to like, we could have done better, we should have done more, we should. That was his decision. That was his decision. And I bless him. And I had to release him and to let him go on to his next journey, to the next, he's transitioned to the next one. And we had to release him in his decision. And there's no guilt. It wasn't about us. No, and he knew how much we loved him. He knows how much we love him. We showed him on a regular basis. But we have to make sure we don't take that guilt. And it's a lot of stuff. Like, that guilt will keep you from being who you're supposed to be, and it'll keep you bounded. Shame is a big one. We do something, and especially at the church, they won't let you live that down. They won't let, if you have a baby out of wedlock, I did it. I did it. And the church will make you feel like you not worthy to run a ministry because you had a baby out of wedlock. So that shame come on you. That's not right. That's not right. Mary got pregnant before she was married. What's the difference? But she's revered. Come on now. We gotta change some things. That shame keep you from being who you're supposed to be. Grief. Now, we are going through, my family, we are going through the grief, and there's so many other families, because COVID took out a lot of people. And cancer takes out a lot of people, and car accidents, and bullets from guns, and just all this stuff. And we have this overwhelming grief. We have to figure out a way to let it go. One of the things I really feel like that'll help us with the grief, especially the grief when we lose somebody, when they transition on to the next, we have to remember that they're just transitioning. Like, their physical body, yeah, it's gone. It's no longer. And for, like, my mom died of pancreatic cancer. She didn't want that body no more, because the body was riddled with cancer. She didn't want that body no more. She was like glad to get rid of that body. But then her spirit, it transitioned on to the next phase. Now, some of us call it heaven. And, some of us believe that they go up. Some of us believe that they got to wait until everybody go up. And some people just believe that it's a transition, that it's just a next phase. They may be they may be here just in a different dimension. I don't know. You just got to figure out whatever keeps you from holding on to grief, that you can't accept love, that you can't appreciate love, that you can't be loving because you're so bound by grief. It keeps us from being who we're supposed to be. Lies. This is like lies, because we have been bombarded by lies, constantly bombarded by lies. And lies will keep us all messed up in the head, all messed up in the mind. Lies are no good. If you are a liar, stop today. Tell the truth. When they say tell the truth, shame the devil, tell the truth. Because it's not just the person who lies, but it's the person that's believing the lies, because those lies bound you up. You are not able to be great because you believe in other people's lies. We gotta stop it. And I already talked about the illusions of separate, and then earthly attachments. We gotta be able to let things and even people, we gotta let them go. This is really hard, especially for me as a mother. It's hard for me to let go, but we have to be great, to let other people be great. We gotta let them, and it's not to say let them go and let them like be, but we gotta let them go. Like my child, I gotta let him go and let him grow up, be his own person. Let him make his own decisions in life, even if I don't agree with him. It goes back to like my nephew. It's like the decision he made. I don't necessarily agree with the decision, but it was his decision, and I have to be okay with it. So if I can be okay with my nephew Joshua's decision to transition on to the next phase, I have to be able to be okay with my son Lorenz's decisions to do whatever he gonna do on this earth. I gotta let go and let God. That's what we say, let go and let God. Like, that's serious. And you think it's not about not loving somebody. It's not about selling all your worldly possessions. It's just like not being bound by let go and let God deal with it. If you gotta lose your house, let the house go. Let it go. It's okay, because God got other houses. He might have something better in mind for you. Like, we have to don't hold on so tight to stuff. Be mindful. Those earthly attachments, it keeps us from being the greatest, the thing that God wants us to be, and to fully experience everything that God has for us. We have to do these things. I don't know who I'm helping today. I'm hoping I helped somebody. I just felt like I wanted to share, because I watched the Avatar and then Billy Porter and on Pose, and they did all that stuff, and it was just like, my God, we have so much to learn. We have so much to learn, and I love the pastors and the teachers and the evangelists, all the people that are doing it. But let's just be clear. We can meditate and go into ourselves, and God will send the right word through us, up through us to us. But he can also do it in a TV show. He can do it while we're at church. He can, the homeless person on the street can give you a word. You can get the word from me on the Blessed podcast, on any of these podcasts, on any, God, you just have to say, God, give me what I need. Because this mental health of mine needs some work. We all got stuff. We all got stuff. We all got stuff. Living in this world, we all got stuff. Because of all those things I talked about, we all got mental stuff. And to clear it, to be the best that we can be, we have got to clear those chakras. We have to unblock everything, the fear, the guilt, the shame, the griefs, the lies, the illusions, and earthly attachments. We gotta do it. We gotta do it, y'all. I know some people are like, what is she talking about? Y'all, it's serious, because mental health is a serious issue, because first of all, we need to have medical, insurance for everybody for free. Yes, we do need that. But then even when we do have medical insurance, you can go to get a physical from your doctor without paying a copay. But when you want to go see the mental health specialist, you got to pay a copay. We need to have that. Just like we get a physical, we need to have a mental physical also every year. If you haven't seen a professional, go find one. And if you don't want to go pay for those kind of, find somebody else. See if your church has counseling, because counseling is counseling. To have somebody talk, and then if worse come to worse, talk to yourself, counsel yourself. take a deep breath, meditate, and ask the God within to give you what you need, it works. Oh yeah, I know it works. Because God is powerful. He can do all things. You can do all things. We can do all things through the Christ consciousness that strengthens us, that's in us. I promise you. We can do this. We can do this. I promise you. That's my time. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I wasn't rambling too much. But we have a new song. My sister came out with I actually wrote some lyrics, and on Christmas, I kind of made everybody, stop what they was doing, and we had like a 5-hour session, and we came up with this awesome song for my sister Rosalind, and my sister Sherry is actually featured on it. It's called Anchored in Your Love, and I'm gonna give you a little snippet of it, but go and download it on Amazon, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. Rosalind Riley's Anchored in Your Love. Until next week, be blessed.
I'm anchored in your love. The winds of change can blow. Anchored in your love.